Welcome back. In this clip I'm going to show you a bit more about the rotating block we just created in the previous video. I'm going to show you how you could activate this rotating block if you didn't want it started on by default. So you can see here I've turned off the default value of is on. So now when we run the level you'll see the block is static, and if we obviously turn that on and run it again, you can see it starts to move. So we want to do this but with a bit of blueprint code essentially. So we'll do it from a simple box trigger. I'm going to add a box trigger just in front of our player here, just near to these steps, and in our level blueprint I'm going to create an overlap event, so begin overlap for this box, and we also need to create a reference to our rotating block. Now from the rotating block what we can do is we can do a set variable, and we can see here the set is on variable, which refers to this variable here at the side, the is on variable that we created. We want to turn it on, so we set the tick box and we go somewhere like that. So link that all up, hit play, and actually what we'll do before we do that, we'll just make sure we can see our box here. So we'll turn off the actor hidden in game, so then we will see the green outline when we play it. So we walk into the box here, it should start the thing rotating. Great, that works. Pretty straightforward. That's one way of doing this. There are some problems with it, there's some quite significant problems, but it works for a very simple test. One problem might be, for example, if your block wasn't just spinning when it started but you needed to do other things, perhaps you wanted to change colour, perhaps you want to run a whole bunch of other scripts. Just setting its variable to be on or off wouldn't allow you to execute any other blueprint functions within that spinning block. So a slightly better way to do this would be to create a function inside the rotating block. So I'm going to duplicate our original rotating block so we don't change that, and I'm going to make this new one called rotating block functions. So it's just a copy of this first one that we made in the previous clip. Okay, so here's our rotating block, and we can add a new function here. Let's call it turn on, and when we turn on our block we want to set our is on variable to on. Compile that. So I'm going to put this one here like so, and we need to modify our level blueprint. So first of all, create a reference to our rotating block with the function inside of it. If we type in call function, we can see that turn on is listed, which is the function we just created, and perhaps we'll just relink it here instead. So this is our original block which we've just disabled, we've disconnected it. This is our new block with the function inside of it. We walk into this box and it starts spinning. And because it's a function, we could have it do other things as well. So we could turn on, we could do a print string, we could also perhaps get it to play a sound, or spawn sound perhaps. one of the built-in sounds there. So yeah, we just attach the sound to the location of the cube itself. So this time when we play, we should have it play a little beepy sound when we walk into that cube. If you wanted to get it to stop, we could do a similar thing. So we could add a new function here, call it turn off, and we could set our rotation, the is on value, so it's turned off, and perhaps we could also play sound. We'll find a suitable sound. Try that one. And we want to just modify our blueprint so that when they leave so on the end overlap event, so when they leave that box, we want to call the function turn off. We've got an error here. Make sure it's compiled properly. Maybe I did a little bit too soon. Just try that again. Turn off. There we are. This time we can compile. So we'll turn on. There we are. So you can see that works pretty well. Now that's great, and it works quite nicely for what we're doing here. And you can see the benefit of using a function to set this up. However, there is a bit of a problem. Say for example we had another block, so I'm just going to duplicate this, but perhaps it's a different blueprint. Perhaps instead of rotating it on this y-axis, perhaps we're going to rotate it on the z-axis like we did previously, and perhaps the cube isn't a cube, perhaps it's a different mesh. Choose one of these cone meshes. So it's a completely different blueprint to the one we've got at the moment. Now we could drop that in here and we can check that it works, check that it rotates. I think it's rotating on an axis that we can't see there. Let's change the rotation axis. Let's rotate it on the y and the x. Let's rotate it on all of them. There we should be able to see something moving there. Okay, so there you can see him spinning around, that's fine, and we can turn it on and off using the tick box as we did previously. Now what if we just wanted to swap our rotating block here for one of these rotating cones? Now you'd have thought you could just kind of delete that reference and link these up, but you'll find that if you try and do that, you'll get these red no entry symbols, and that's because, as you can see here, it's actually bound, this turn on is bound to the rotating block, the original rotating block itself, not our new rotating cone. Now you could, of course, recreate all these function calls and things, but imagine you're trying to do this dynamically and you've got lots of blocks and different objects in your level that have been spawned dynamically. Perhaps it wouldn't be possible to do that. So the function system itself, although it's quite useful, it does create limitations that you should be aware of. A better way is to use something called an interface, where you define essentially a function name that can be called from wherever you want by any other object, and it's not specifically bound to that object like these are. So that's what the next video will be about, is how to create an interface which is a bit more flexible and a bit more powerful as a tool for sending messages between your blueprints.